you for being here, everyone.
Yeah, no, yeah.
And we know how important fire safety is. It's been a terrible year. We're up to, I believe, 80 fire fatalities. It started out in January. Back in January, late January, 181 Street in the Bronx, 17 people lost their lives. So we want to try to keep that number down. I'd like to keep it down to 0. We know that's an impossibility. I wish it wasn't. But I'm with the fire safety education unit. We go to schools, senior centers. We'll go to your scout meeting. Anywhere there's a group of people, we want to go there and teach them a few things, teach them the do's and the don'ts, and try to keep everyone safe. So I always say fires don't discriminate. It happens to the best of us. Can you still hear me?
Mhm.
Okay. I lost them. Okay.
Mhm.
So, it doesn't matter who you are, the rich, the poor, educated, uneducated. I have 3 firemen for my firehouse alone. 2 houses of theirs burnt to the ground, 1 house, $150,000 worth of damage. These are firemen who know what to do, and thank God they did, because their families were spared. Everybody was safe. So one of the leading causes of fires is still smoking, careless smoking. And it happens this time of year, right? It's the holidays. We're celebrating, we're entertaining people. They come over, they might have a glass of wine, a bottle of beer. They're smoking, careless smoking, right? Big problem. Smoking when they're drinking, smoking when they're medicated, smoking when they're tired. If you do have any smokers, just be aware that a cigarette butt could smolder for up to 2 hours. The best bet is to put that cigarette butt out in water. Make sure that cigarette is extinguished. Smoke outside. That's the best thing, right? Smoke outside when you can. And once again, put that cigarette butt out in water. Big problem this time of year, the cooking, because we all need to eat. A lot of us like to cook, and we're cooking a lot, and we're cooking often. We're not entertaining just those days, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. We're entertaining in between. There's a lot of cooking going on, and a lot of people like to imbibe too with the alcohol. And it's just a bad combo that has proven to be deadly in the past. The holidays are traditionally been tragic for many people. It's a busy time of year. People cook and they forget that they're cooking, right? They're cooking, they got their chicken going, they got their fish frying, they disappear for what's going to be a minute to go next door to say hello to their girlfriend. A minute becomes 2, 2 minutes becomes 15. They come back, they have a grease fire. What do we not put on a grease fire? Absolutely no water on a grease fire. You're guaranteed to make things a lot worse. A good chance you will burn yourself, and a good chance you'll burn down your house. So no water on a grease fire. The best thing for that grease fire is a tight fitting lid or cover, right? We want to cover that. And what are we doing? We're depriving that fire of oxygen. It needs air, it needs oxygen just like us. It's a breathing, living thing. Cover that with a tight fitting lid. Do not check it in 2 minutes, because if you do, it is smoldering and it will relight and it will blow up in your face. So keep it covered 15 minutes. Make sure that is cool. This is probably the only time we're going to move fire. You may want to slide it to the other burner that is already cool and let that thing cool down. We do not move fire, right? We had one gentleman wanted to move the burning pan, wanted to throw it out the window. Didn't realize the screen was down. That didn't make it out the window. That set his kitchen on fire. A lot of other people, in the heat of the moment, they'll pick up the pot or the pan, forgetting that it's hot, drop it on the floor. Now you have a kitchen fire. Okay. So we do not move it. The stovetop is meant to be hot. Cover it when possible. If you don't have that tight fitting lid or cover, sodium bicarbonate, baking soda works very well. Okay. Sodium bicarbonate is what is in this fire extinguisher. So we take this. Everyone probably has one in their fridge. That's not going to work for you, because that's going to be like a brick. It's going to be a solid. We don't want that. We want a powder. Keep one at room temperature near the stove. Shake it up every once in a while so it remains like a powder. And if you have a grease fire, you could shut it down and put that sodium bicarbonate, that baking soda, right on a fire. Works very well, and will put that fire out. Other kitchen emergencies, people are home. They want to be comfortable. They're wearing loose clothing. The shirt sleeve gets into the flame. Their blouse gets into the flame. Now their clothes are on fire. People's instinct is to run. That is a big mistake, because when you run, you are fanning the fire. You are giving it that air, that oxygen that it craves. So do not run, just like we tell the kids, of course, rip it off as quickly as you can, if possible. If not, you drop to the ground and you roll around. Stop, drop, and roll. Smother those flames, put those flames out. Only one thing we put on a burn, we put on cold water. I've heard of a lot of things. I've heard tomato juice, butter, mud, toothpaste. We put on water. I had one poor kid, 2-year-old, pulled a hot pot of soup onto himself and was raw from the neck down. And the mother put soy sauce on him. No soy sauce either. One thing, we put cold water on that burn, and that is it. And when it's that bad, you call 911, and we'll be there to render assistance. All right, other kitchen emergencies, natural gas. Natural gas comes from the stove. Some stoves are gas. We have natural gas dryers. It comes from a burner in the house. Natural gas smells like rotten eggs. Okay, it's not a good odor. If you smell a little bit, do not assume that it's not a big deal, because you may be on an upper floor, you may be on a 4th floor, and it's not coming from your apartment, it's not coming from your floor, not coming from the 3rd floor, maybe coming from the 2nd floor, but it has diminished by the time it reaches your apartment. But on the 2nd floor, it's getting ready to blow. So if you think you smell natural gas, do not take a chance. Do not wait for your husband to come home. Do not leave a message with your super. Do not call Con Edison and be on hold for 20 minutes. Okay, there's one phone call you make when you smell natural gas, and that is 911. If you call Con Edison, you'll be on hold for 20 minutes, and as soon as they pick up, they call 911. So you smell natural gas, call 911. We know it's very explosive, highly explosive. Call 911 from outside your apartment, because a cell phone can trigger an explosion. Do not use your light switches. A spark can trigger an explosion. Do not use anything electric, right? You have natural gas in your house. You think you might, you're not sure. Don't take a chance. Call 911 from outside. Make sure that you're safe. Every fire truck has a meter. We will go there and see where that natural gas is coming from, and we're gonna mitigate the situation, make things safe for you. Okay. Extension cords, we all use them. It's a great tool, but they have to be used properly. Okay. Extension cords and power strips. These are great, but we don't want them misused. And when I say misused, we do not use extension cords or power strips. We do not use either one for anything that makes hot, which would be an electric heater, an electric blanket, a microwave oven, toaster oven. No extension cords. Nor do we use these for anything that makes cold. Refrigerator, air conditioner, no extension cords, no power strips. Those appliances need to be plugged directly into an outlet, okay? They go directly into an outlet. The problem is when you plug something like that, space heater, microwave, whatever, into a power strip or an extension cord, these things get hot, they melt, they go on fire, okay? So plug those directly into the outlet, keep safe. The power strip, you know, we're all using this time of year because we have a lot of lights. It shouldn't pose a problem, right? A lot of lights are LED. That's not a big problem, but do not start piggybacking them, putting one extension cord into a power strip, into another extension cord. That is a big no-no. That is a fire waiting to happen. All right, use them properly. This is great for some Christmas lights, a couple of other low things, but once again, nothing hot, nothing cold. This is an electrical fire that you can control. You have control over, you know, the proper use of this. Electrical fires that you really have no control over are the wires in a wall, right? You may think you have a beautiful apartment. They redid it recently. The walls are new, the kitchen's new, the bathroom's new, the place looks great. But did the landlord spend the extra money and the extra time to replace the electric? Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. We don't know. The walls are closed up. We don't know what's inside those walls. Maybe he did spend the money, but he had an unlicensed electrician do the work. And so now, you know, there's going to be a problem. So if you have a light switch that works sporadically, it works today, it doesn't work tomorrow, stop using it, call the landlord, get that fixed. Same with an outlet. It works today, it doesn't work tomorrow. Don't take a chance. There's a short somewhere, and that's a fire waiting to happen. If you see a light switch actively sparking, an outlet actively sparking, you call 911 immediately. We want to make sure there's no fire in the walls. If you see nothing, but you smell smoke, right? It could be something burning inside the walls. Once again, we call 911 immediately. and let's determine where that odor, where that smoke is coming from. Be safe, be smart, don't not be afraid to call us. A lot of times people use candles, still very popular, still very dangerous. A lot of fires with candles. I recommend if you use candles, do not leave the house with them burning. Do not go to bed with them burning. Okay. Make sure those candles are out, especially when you have young kids and cats and dogs, they knock them over. So make sure they are out. The best alternative is an LED battery operated candle. These work very, very well lately. A lot of them, you'd be surprised how good they look. This one even smells good. This is a vanilla candle. It smells good. They are a lot cheaper in the long run. And the bottom line is they are a whole lot safer. Okay, so if you are a candle user, consider using the LED candle. It's a great alternative. It's a whole lot safer for you. Okay, same with incense. You're burning incense. Be careful with that. We had a fire recently over in Brooklyn. Woman lost her life. She was burning incense, and that did not work out well for her. She did pass in that fire. All right. Other things this time of year, once again, it's unfortunately tragic for many reasons, the holidays. And I've been to some of my worst fires, Christmas Day, New Year's Day, Thanksgiving. It's a busy time of year. First of all, it's getting colder out, right? So it's getting colder out. What are people using? They're using space heaters. They're using electric blankets. They got their burners going. Maybe their burner hasn't been serviced in years, right? So we have burner fires, space heater fires, electric blankets. And the thing is, the windows are closed. It's winter. Everyone's window is closed. So maybe in a good weather, in a warmer weather, people will have windows open. If there's a fire, people on the outside will see smoke. People will smell smoke, right? You're not getting that in the winter. The building is sealed up. That fire is burning inside, and no one's really going to know until it gets that bad. Fire doubles in size every 30 seconds. Okay, so for that reason, we get busier. And then once again, the holidays, we're constantly cooking this time of year. You know, we have friends over often, and what do? We like to serve a little wine, maybe a little beer, and things happen. You know, people forget their cooking. People are a little less careful when they're drinking. Once again, falling asleep with the cigarettes, falling asleep with candles burning, different things like that. So as far as Christmas trees, if you haven't seen one burn, check that out on YouTube and see what a live Christmas tree looks like when it goes on fire. You would be surprised, actually astonished to see how much flame, how much fire comes from a single Christmas tree. And a lot of people did have the old lights that get very hot. You know, you could plug in that old string of lights, and within a minute, you cannot touch that bulb. That's how hot it gets, very, very quickly. A lot of people got rid of them. You know, definitely a good idea, because they were, you know, an accident waiting to happen, especially if you use them on a live tree. But still, there are others who, you know, it's the nostalgic thing. It was, those lights were in their family for years. They have some old decorations. They have their old lights, and they put those lights on a Christmas tree. And once again, those lights get very hot. The trees dry out. They go on fire. Okay. If you use a live Christmas tree, do not put it in the house until you're ready to set it up. I know some people, they'll drag it in the house, and it's in the house for 2 weeks before they even decorate it. That is a mistake. Do not put it in the house until you are ready to decorate it. Okay. And after it is up, make sure that tree gets water. You need to water that tree every day. A dry tree is highly flammable. You're taking a chance, right? So make sure that tree is watered. Make sure it's still good. Once it starts drying out, get rid of it. You have to get rid of it, and you will be a whole lot safer. All right. So think about that. And we have smoke alarms. We have, you know, combination CO alarms. Everybody has to have these. Very, very important. How many should you have? If you have a house, you have to have one on every floor, a combination alarm on every floor. Smoke, carbon monoxide in a house, at the bottom of the basement stairs, away from the burner. If it's near the burner, it may become a nuisance. Have it at the bottom of the basement stairs. That way, if it does activate, you will hear it on the first floor. First floor, away from the kitchen. If it's in the kitchen, it's going to be a nuisance, right? It's going to go off every time you're cooking. Keep it away from the kitchen. Put it at the bottom of the stairs leading to the second floor. That way, if it does activate, you will hear it on the second floor. Okay, second floor, usually bedrooms. You have to have one outside the bedrooms. You also have to have one smoke alarm in each bedroom, right? Because what happens? You go to bed, you shut your door, you got the TV blasting. If this alarm activates outside of your bedroom with your door closed, with your TV going, will you hear it? There's a good chance you will not hear it, right? Or conversely to that, what if the fire starts in your bedroom? The fire starts in your bedroom. The alarm is outside. The door's in between the fire and the alarm. That door's going to hold back all that smoke. That smoke will kill you before this alarm even knows what's going on. So for that reason, make sure you have an alarm in each bedroom. Make sure you have an alarm outside the bedroom, and definitely a combination alarm on every floor. Definitely very important. You know, even people say, well, I only have a small studio. And I say, you know, it doesn't matter if your apartment is as big as an elevator, have 2 alarms. What if one is faulty? Make sure you have 2 as a backup. All right. And we always preach alarms. You have to have your alarms. We're finding that is not enough to have the alarms. We're finding people have the alarms and they still don't know what to do. For example, a friend of mine, she has 2 combination alarms. One is in her living room and one is outside her bedroom. 2 alarms independent of each other. They are not interconnected. 2 individual alarms. They do their job. They woke her up. Okay, they woke her up at 3 o'clock in the morning. And she wakes up and she sees this. She sees nothing. She doesn't see smoke. She doesn't smell anything. She doesn't taste anything. She assumes that both alarms became defective at the same time. Highly, highly unlikely, right? But that's what she thinks. She thinks they're both defective. So she takes one, she puts one in her freezer so she doesn't have to listen to it. She takes the other one, she throws it outside. Exactly. And what did she have? What did she have? She had carbon monoxide in her apartment coming from her neighbor's apartment. Okay. She got sick. She did not die. She's lucky she didn't die. Right. But she didn't do the right thing. Even though she had these alarms, she didn't know how to respond. And that's what we're finding with people, right? A lot of people don't know how to respond. I had mentioned that we had the big fire up in the Bronx late January, right? It's almost a year that we lost those 17 people. Very sad. Things went wrong up there. Things went wrong, and we're not here to point fingers and say who did what. We're here to learn, and we're here to do better, to better ourselves, right? So I will speak about the facts. The fact is that fire started with a space heater. That is a fact. Now, was the space heater defective? You know, did it have a bad cord? Maybe the cat was chewing on the cord. Maybe there are rodents that chew on the wires, right? That happens because the wires are sweet. So you'll find rodents, you'll find pets chewing on this. Did that happen there? I'm not sure, right? Or maybe it was just effective on its own. Maybe it was new and not made well. Maybe it was not used properly. Maybe it was too close to combustibles. Any space heater should be 3 feet away from everything. Okay, space heat is 3 feet away from everything. Do not go to bed with those things plugged in. At the very least, shut that off. Okay, get your room warm, shut it off, and I really prefer unplug it. That's the best thing to be safe with the space heater. Same with an electric blanket. If you use an electric blanket, get the blanket hot, unplug it before you go to bed. Okay, so we do know that fire started with the space heater. That was problem number 1. Problem number 2, the door to that fire department was open. Now, whether it be broken or was it chocked open, still not sure, right? Everything under investigation still. We do not know exactly why that door was open, but we do know that door was open. Open doors allow the travel of fire and smoke, okay? So when that apartment door is left open, the fire comes out, the smoke comes out. The smoke travels very quickly. Smoke comes out, okay? And the smoke came out of that apartment. Problem number 2 was the open door. Problem number 3, did they have alarms? They had a lot of alarms. And fact is, people heard the alarms. It's documented. Many people heard these alarms and many people ignored the alarms. You know, I don't know if they think it's someone else's problem or maybe it was a nuisance. You know, they're thinking the guy is smoking in the hallway again. The woman at the other end burnt her food for the 3rd time this week. The alarms were ignored. And when the alarms are ignored, the fire grows, it doubles in size. Every 30 seconds, doubles in size. Okay, so the fire is growing, the doors open, the smoke is filling the hallways and the stairwells. That is a fireproof building. Okay, you have to be familiar with your surroundings. That's a fireproof building. And many of the people who perished were safe in their apartments. They were safe in a fireproof building. If the fire is in your apartment, you do your best to get out. You do your best to get out and you shut that door behind you. Okay. If you are in a fireproof building and the fire is above you, you stay where you are. If you're in a fireproof building and the fire is below you, you stay where you are. You do not leave the safety of your apartment. You're in a fireproof building. It is very, very difficult for fire to travel in a fireproof building. So if the fire is not in your apartment, you stay where you are. Many people did not stay where they were. Many people were safe in the apartments for whatever reason. I wasn't there, I don't know. But people came out of their apartments where maybe they should not have. They were safe where they are. They came out into the smoke-filled stairwells and hallways, and they perished in the stairwells and the hallways. Okay, so it's sad, but that's what happened. And we want to try to avoid that. You have to be familiar with your surroundings. You have to know if you live in a fireproof building. Okay, fireproof building in general, 7 stories or taller, no fire escapes. It's going to be fireproof. Non-fireproof, 6 stories or less, you will see fire escapes. Private dwelling, non-fireproof. Okay, a fire in a non-fireproof building, it doesn't matter where the fire is, fire travels very quickly in those buildings. So it doesn't matter if the fire is 2 floors below you, you have to get out, and you get out quickly and you stay out. Get out quickly, stay out. All right, that's it. You know, fireproof versus non-fireproof. Be familiar with your surroundings. Know the building where you live in. Know what it is, fireproof and non-fireproof. Know the building where you visit. Maybe you go stay with your mom on the weekends. What kind of building does she live in? Is she in a non-fireproof building or a fireproof? Does she know what to do? Everyone should know what to do, right? You gotta be careful out there. So many things went wrong up there, as many fires. It's not the first time that something like that happened. It is quite a few people, right? 17 people too many. I've seen it previously, maybe 7 years ago. Similar incident, 2 gentlemen on the 21st floor, fire on the 12th. They're on the 21st floor and they came out of the safety of their apartment. Fireproof building, came down the stairs, which is they came down the chimney, and one perished in the stairwell and one died 2 weeks later. Okay, so we have to know what to do. We have to know what to do. We do not ignore these alarms. You know, don't assume it's someone else's problem. You know, be curious, see what's going on. You hear an alarm ringing, call 911. I hear an alarm ringing on my floor. We're going to go there, determine if it's faulty, if it's an issue, what's going on. That's our job, right? So do not be afraid to call us when you hear these alarms ringing. The new alarms have a 10-year lithium battery, and that is because we had a problem. People would burn their food and pull a battery out, and then a battery wouldn't go back in. Okay, a woman in Harlem did that 5 years ago. She lost 5 kids. She had a habit of pulling the battery out of her alarm. Battery never went back in. So the new alarms have a 10-year lithium battery. You cannot pull a battery out. It is sealed in there. The battery is good for 10 years. If you are changing batteries, it's time to get some new alarms. Okay, this alarm should be tested once a month, and you test it by pushing a button. We do this once a month. This is a combination alarm. It beeps 3 times twice. That's the smoke, and then it does 4 quick ones. Carbon monoxide, the silent killer, does that twice. One more time. Okay, so we know our alarm's good. We test it once a month. This is a combination alarm. And this one, if you do burn your food or somebody walks by with a cigarette, accidentally sets it off, you push that button, that test button, it'll silence it for 15 minutes. You get the smoke out of the apartment and it resets automatically. So you can no longer pull a battery out, which is a good thing. So make sure you have these alarms. Make sure you know what to do. The best thing is the Red Cross has a great program. The Red Cross will come to your house, see what you need, and install what you need absolutely free. Okay, that number is 877 Red Cross, 877-733-2767, 877-733-2767, the Red Cross program. They will see what you need, install what you need. no charge whatsoever. And they also offer this machine, which is called a Lifetone. Okay. This is for the hearing impaired, for the deaf, because they cannot hear. This works in conjunction with traditional alarms. You still need the traditional alarms, but because a deaf person will not hear this alarm, right? This machine hears the alarm for them. This machine will hear the alarm sounding and it sends a signal to this bed shaker. This goes underneath the mattress of the sleeping occupant. When the alarm goes off, this picks up the ringing alarm, sends a signal to the bed shaker. This is under the mattress. It vibrates violently and wakes up the sleeping occupant. Okay, this is called the Lifetone machine, bed shaker. Great product, also supplied by the Red Cross for anybody in need. Okay, 877 Red Cross, Lifetone machine, great, free of charge. Great product. Make sure someone in need gets that because it's that important. They can't hear the alarm. That works well. Okay, so thank you for listening. Stay safe. I'm open to any questions you may have.
Okay. Hi.
Hello.
I'm not sure. That was a lot.
Yeah, I try to get it all in.
Wow. Okay. Lily asks, is there a specific fire alarm brand that you recommend?
We can't recommend anything. What you will get when we send the Red Cross there is the Kidder alarm. Okay, it's probably one of the more popular ones. I'm not saying that's better than any one of the other, but it's definitely a good one. It's been around for years. And that's what you will get through the program.
Okay. Sarah says, I am in a wheelchair and I've had problems silencing alarms that go off when there's cooking smoke or old batteries.
Okay, what I would recommend, this design, it's designed for, we don't want people climbing ladders, pulling these off the ceiling, right? So this button is centrally located. This alarm goes on the ceiling and it's designed to test it with the back of a broom. And you could also do it if she's in a sitting position, which it sounds like she is. You may need a longer stick, right? Maybe a special stick that's a little longer than a broom to reach the ceiling. I don't know how high the ceiling is, but that is a great design. There's no more climbing ladders to get these things quiet. Back of the broom, most people could reach it with the back of a broom handle. In her situation, she may need a longer stick to actually hit it.
Can we put them like on the wall by us? Does it have to be on the ceiling? Does it have to be high?
It should be at the highest point, so we like it on the ceiling. There's special circumstances where you may put it on a wall because the ceiling's too high or something. Well, but we do like them on the ceiling. Okay.
Maybe two.
And
Maybe one on the ceiling and one by the bed or something.
I mean, two is always better than one, but the idea is when you put this on a wall, it's harder to push this button. So because you kind of have to, on an angle, it may be a little difficult. You should come straight in at it. Like when it's above, you could go straight above with a stick. So it does require a little bit of pressure. So, I mean, it's possible, but it may be harder. But we like them. The smoke goes up, right? The smoke's going to go up. We want it to be up there. And then it mushrooms down. So if it's on a wall, it may take longer for it to activate because the smoke may be going up in the middle of the room. It's going to be at the top and then it spreads out and comes down. And that may be, an extra 30 seconds, which, as we know, in a fire, time is of the essence. You want to get this thing sounding ASAP. So we do prefer them on the ceiling.
Maybe, I don't know if with that device that the Red Cross provides, if there's a component to it that allows us to turn it off, like with the bed shaker, since that's going to be near the bed. I don't know if maybe.
What's that, to turn the alarm off? You mean, so as far as I know, all we have is this button, right? That'll silence it. And that's hit with the broomstick. There is nothing, no remote. You mean like a remote control that would deactivate the alarm.
Well, like the life tone thing,
Yeah,
does that provide maybe an option to turn it off if you can't reach the ceiling?
you could turn off the bed shaker, but you still have the ringing alarm because they're independent of each other, right?
If the alarm goes off, does it just continue to go off until you shut it off? If there's a,
Yes, yes, yes. It'll go off until the area clears of smoke or until the battery goes dead, which would be a long time.
so if we
But
needed to call
it's
the
gonna be
fire,
continuous until you silence it, till the smoke is cleared, right? Even if you silence it, you could try silencing this in a smoke condition. It's not gonna silence. It's just gonna go again.
so
So
we
there
could,
is no on and off switch. There's one way to shut this off. And that is, you would actually, and we don't want you doing this, but pull it off the ceiling. There is a screw on the back to turn it, and we only use that if it's defective. There's no reason for you to even go near that. But if it was defective, that's what we would do. Pull it down and shut it off. And we don't want you to do that. Once again, let us determine whether that alarm is defective or not.
okay. That brings up a point because I see the questions, everyone, I'm gonna consider. That brings up a point because I was going to ask, well, let's just say that it's going off and there's not a fire and we're in this situation that we can't reach it. We could call the fire department for something like that for them to come.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I mean, if it's a ringing alarm, we're going out to, you know, see what's going on. So
Okay.
we are there for you.
Okay. I know that there are like those life alert kind of buttons. Is there something like that where
Yes.
you could press and it alerts the fire department if there's an issue?
I believe there is, but I'm not familiar with it. In general, it just goes right to 911, which is where your phone call goes anyway. Like 911, they'll say, "What's your emergency?" And you say medical, fire, police. You know, what do you need? Do you need an ambulance? Do you need a fire truck? What do you need? So it works well. The alert button works well.
Okay.
There's nothing that would go directly to the fire department.
Okay. All right. Because we usually see those life alert things more for like if you've fallen or something like that, but it could work for that if it's gonna contact 911, right? Like you said.
Yeah, yeah. Let it, 911 will call them, usually on a machine, right? So they'll press the button and then they have a machine. They speak to the patient over the machine from what I've experienced. And the patient would tell them what is the nature of your emergency. And then they'll determine who they're getting, police or an ambulance or the
So
fire
if you
department.
Okay. So if you travel with one of those life alerts, like if you're staying the night somewhere else, if you don't have that other device where they call you to, it's not.
If you go to a place that doesn't have the machine, like
If
a life
if
alert
you're not
machine,
home, right? So
right?
if because
Yeah,
they have the little button,
right.
and so if you
If you
travel with
don't,
that, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, I'm not sure if they have one that would go directly to the local 911. They may, I'm not familiar with them. But as
Okay.
far as I know, you need that machine to do it, the ones I've seen.
Okay.
But if you're out of state, they probably have something that would just go directly to your local 911. That would be something you have to look into. I'm not sure about that.
Okay. Um, so I've heard it recommended that whenever we move somewhere, we should contact our lower local fire department and let them know that we're living in the area.
Definitely, we have a great program. It's called the SIDS program, Critical Information Dispatch System. So what it is if you have a fire at your place, when your address comes up, information about your building will come up with that call. Mainly, it'll give us the footprint of the building. What kind of building are we responding to? What makes this building more dangerous than others? That is a program that's been around for years, and it kind of gives us a visual of what we're going into before we get there. Okay. In many instances, a person who's handicapped could be added to that. So it depends how much stuff it needs to be concise because it's a quick read for us. So we have 5 lines and it's in general, the size of the building, how many apartments per floor, how many stories. And once again, anything that would be different or dangerous. But when paper allows, so to speak, right? Like I said, it has to be concise. We can't have 2 pages of information. But when there is room for additional information, you could have something put on there like blind man in apartment 3C,
Mm-hmm.
Bed-bound woman in apartment 5D. A lot of times you could add that. I'm not gonna say you could always add it because sometimes there is more pertinent information than someone who is homebound. Okay, it's just, that's just the way it is. But when paper allows, when a paragraph allows, you can contact your local firehouse, let them know my mother is in apartment 5D and she is bedbound. If there is an emergency, that's the first place we're gonna go. We're gonna go there to give her a hand. She's gonna need extra help. So it's something you could look in. Each building is different. Talk to your local firehouse, see if they could get that person into that system, the SID system, Critical Information Dispatch System. It's
Okay.
great. It's available to most. It's not, once again, it doesn't always allow for additional information. But when there is room for additional information, of course, we'd like to get that in there. It's gonna make, help to keep that person safer.
Okay.
All right, and just keep in touch with your neighbors. Let your neighbors know what's going on. You move into a new place, let your neighbor know, hey, my son, he's handicapped, he's bedbound, if I'm not home, please look out for him. If there is an emergency, please be aware. He's in the back bedroom, he's has a hard time getting out. Just, we got to look out for each other too. So
Yeah.
always let people know what's going on,
Okay.
especially if you live in a bigger building, maybe a doorman building, let the doorman know. If there's an emergency, just remind the fireman, my son who is blind is up in the apartment, he's gonna need extra help. So,
Okay. And then what you were saying about the fireproof buildings. So could we assume that if there's fire escapes, this is not a fireproof building, and then the other way around?
and that is true in 99.9% of the time. Of course, there are always exceptions. Usually like federal buildings, sometimes they didn't adhere to our laws. So you may see exceptions, uncommon, but possible. The best thing to do is find out from your super, your landlord, what kind of building is this? Is this a fireproof building? Is this a non-fireproof building? In your lobby, you should see a certificate of occupancy. On there, it should say what kind of building it is. But definitely be familiar. The building you live and a building you're visiting. Know what type of building it is.
Okay. And so if you live in a building that is not fireproof, right? So I've heard that if you smell smoke or something on the outside, you should put like a wet towel down by the door. Um,
Right.
if you're on the side of the fire escape, you have the option of getting out. But what if you're not on the fire escape side?
Yeah. Definitely. If you're gonna be safe in your apartment, a fireproof building, very hard for fire to travel, but sometimes, your door doesn't shut completely. It's an older building. There may be a little smoke coming in from underneath that door. So yes, of course, put a wet towel there, keep that smoke out, right? Maybe your building is that much older where it doesn't seal completely around the edges. You may want a roll of duct tape because sometimes when there's a fire, it doesn't go out in 2 minutes, especially in a fireproof building that maybe there's a hoarding condition, a clutter condition in that apartment. There's a lot of fuel in that apartment. That fire is going to burn for quite some time, right? It's going to burn for a while. You may be in your apartment for a while. So you could use duct tape to seal up the edge of the door, and that'll keep the smoke out. Always
Oh,
call 911. Let us know you're up there and say, hey, I'm okay right now, but I am above the fire. And FDNY will advise you. We'll send guys up there to check on you, make sure you're good, and they'll tell you what to do. Are you getting out or you're staying there? But in fireproof buildings, once again, stay where you are. If you need to get out, the fire department will let you know.
okay. In terms of getting out, I heard a suggestion once that for people like us, that like somebody could use like the sheet on our bed to like pull us off the bed and like drag us out.
Yeah, we've done that numerous times.
Okay.
So, we'll usually get one guy on each end, and it's easy to pick them up out of bed with the whole sheet. It's gonna work out well, and we could drag you out that way.
Okay.
You know,
Um, uh, Tiffany asked, what about electric smoke alarms? How often should they be checked?
every smoke alarm should be checked once a month, right? And then if you have a hardwired electric smoke alarm, those batteries should be changed twice a year. right? When you change the clocks, you change the batteries. That is a backup battery. That battery is not supplying power to that alarm. The alarm is hardwired. The alarm power comes from the electric. But if that electric system fails, you have that battery as a backup. And that way the alarm is always working. Even if there is a blackout, that alarm will have enough power to do its job. So those batteries, change those batteries once every 6 months.
Change the batteries once every 6 months. Okay. Lily asked to repeat the name of the fire alarm that you said was suggested.
Well, I said Red Cross uses KIDDE, KIDDE. KIDDE. This is what we use. I'm not recommending it. You know, it's a very good alarm. There's other good ones out there. You know, I can't recommend anything, but this is what you will get when you call a Red Cross. You will get these alarms.
Okay. Okay. You said that if there is a gas smell that we shouldn't, you said a couple things. We shouldn't turn on light switches or the phone. What did you say again?
Correct, right. When you have natural gas is highly explosive. It's just waiting for something. It's waiting for an ignition source to explode, which of course we're not going to light a cigarette. We know that. But every time you touch a light switch, it could trigger a spark that would ignite that, gas. If you use an outlet, it could trigger a spark. Cell phones, we say that they're not intrinsically safe. That means this could actually, cause it to blow. So you don't touch anything. You grab your phone, you go outside, you call 911 from outside, from a clean environment where there's no possibility of that gas being ignited.
Okay. All right. And so if our carbon monoxide alarm
Mhm.
goes off,
Right.
what are we supposed to do? Do we evacuate? What do we do?
Yeah, you have to evacuate, right? Make sure everyone gets out because we don't know what the levels of carbon monoxide are in that house. Call 911. Every fire company has a meter, carbon monoxide meter. They will go to that house and test the air quality to see what's going on. Is there an actual carbon monoxide problem? If there is, where is it coming from? Is it coming from the chimney and the burner? Is it coming from the stove? Is it coming from a car that the exhaust is blown into the house? We have to determine where it's coming from and mitigate the situation, make things better. But go outside, get some fresh air, and make sure everyone's good.
Because I'm sorry, I'm not knowledgeable, because carbon monoxide is an offshoot of what? Like, how can I be mindful of, oh, this might cause a carbon monoxide?
Any time something's burning, every time you turn on your stove top, right? You turn on your stove, you are producing carbon monoxide, but it is an acceptable amount. Okay, but what do people do this time of year when their heat goes down? They want to use their stove to heat, right? They get a big pot of water, they put it on the stove, and they want to heat the house with that. And the stove stays on for 3-4 days, right? That is not what a stove is meant to do. The stove is not meant to do that. But when you do that, it is cold out, you're generating heat, you have the windows shut, the carbon monoxide is just accumulating.
Oh,
Okay, that's the problem. Then it becomes an unacceptable amount. Once again, every time you turn it on, it's going to produce a little bit, but it's an acceptable amount. And what I do recommend is always have a window cracked. If you're cooking, I don't care if it's a day like today, which is pretty cold, January, February, it's cold. Crack that window, get some fresh air in there, get that CO out.
so even like a lighter or incense could produce a small acceptable amount.
Any burning, yes, but that would be acceptable, So,
Okay. Now concerning the space heater,
mhm.
that's not the same. That doesn't produce any carbon monoxide, right? If I'm understanding
Right.
correct.
Yeah, not unless something is on it, right? Some people throw a sweater on a space heater. Now the sweater is burning, right? A lot of acrylic sweaters, they're plastic, that'll produce carbon monoxide, anything that's burning. So by itself, it shouldn't. But if that space heater is defective and something is burning, there's going to be some carbon monoxide that comes from that burning,
Is
right?
that the same for
Unlikely.
like, sorry, go ahead.
It's unlikely, but it's a possibility. you know.
Okay. Is that the same for like the radiator, like the structural one that comes
The
in
steam,
the
well, that's steam, so you won't get, you know, carbon monoxide from that radiator. But what is making that hot? You burn it in the basement is making that water hot. And we get carbon monoxide from the burners, you know, you get monoxide from a gas water heater. So the
Okay,
radiator itself isn't gonna produce it, but what makes that hot water can.
okay, and what if we put like clothes or any material on that kind of on the radiator? Can that cause?
Not unless it's burning, right? So if the radiator is that hot that you can't even touch it, and then once again you put a sweater on, acrylic sweater, that is gonna burn, and that can go on fire. And just any amount of burning, even if it's just smoldering, you are producing carbon monoxide, right?
Okay, I have a towel on my heater right now that I'm looking at, so yeah.
Yeah, you know, we don't recommend it. Nothing, especially electric heater, nothing should be on that electric heater.
Oh,
You have steam heat, you know, if it's that hot where it's gonna burn something, don't put anything on it. That's why they make radiator covers to protect, right? So nothing goes on top.
do
Nothing
they
goes
make
on fire.
radiator covers? I didn't know that.
They do, yeah.
Okay,
It's not necessary if you know that you don't put anything on it, you know?
where do you get that?
Usually for an older building, they'd be custom made. So you would need a carpenter.
Oh, it's not something, oh, you can't like buy it.
Uh, you may have a hard time because a lot of they're not used anymore, really. You know, it's mostly baseboard heating and stuff. You could probably find something, but you have to have the right measurements.
Okay,
But just be aware that nothing should go on the radiators, especially if they get that hot to the touch. Something can go on fire.
okay. Now, in terms of the space heater, um, you know, you mentioned that fire in the Bronx. We actually knew some people in our community that lived in that building, so it was
Sorry
really
for your
bad.
loss.
Me being a person with an injury, I am extremely cold all the time, and I don't get sufficient heat in this
Mhm.
building. So
Yeah.
turning it off and unplugging it throughout the night is almost like that's not an option. So I don't know if there's like another kind of heater or heating system that could be more safe that can stay on.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not familiar. They'll tell you that it could stay on. Once again, you're taking a chance. If that heater starts burning, you will not smell it. If it starts melting, you will not see it. So that's the problem. Just like anything, charging phones, charging laptops. We have a big problem with e-bikes. You know, they're great tools, right? But we shouldn't charge them when we're sleeping because anything, even this little cell phone, do they go on fire? Not often, but it has happened, right? It has happened. So nobody should be charging their phone on their pillow. They're talking late at night, they got the phone charged, they fall asleep. Phones get hot. They're not meant to get hot, but sometimes they become defective. They get hot, right? They get overcharged. You have an inferior charging cord. A phone comes with one you know, the one battery comes with one charger. One charger is not enough. So you get one from the street corner for $5 because you don't want to give Verizon $30 for a charging cord, and it could be a problem and it could go on fire. So, you know, you want to use it fine, but just don't use it while you're sleeping, right? Space heater, yeah, many people go to bed with them on. It may be fine, it may not. You're taking a chance, you know, you're taking a chance. So that's why we say definitely shut it off before you go to bed. I say more than that, unplug it. If it's easy enough for you to unplug it, you know, unplug it just to be sure that it's not going to pose a problem.
Okay. And what you just saw, what was, oh, with the cell phone chargers, then is there something that we should be looking for? Like, is there something on a package that says like this one is like safe and this one is not?
Yeah, nothing like that. What you're looking for is, you know, or a burning odor. You know, if the charger is melting, if the charger is hot to the touch, like the charger itself may get warm, the phone may get warm. Nothing should be getting hot to the touch. If it's getting hot and you can't touch it, there's a problem, right? So just be wary of that.
Okay. And then outlets, again, personally, I'm looking at it. So the outlets, like the outer part of it, it's kind of
Mhm.
like dangling off.
Oh, that's not good. So you need an electrician.
I called the super, but they're taking forever and I don't have
Yeah.
that many outlets. So like, is it like back, like, should I like,
You could get a shock, or if you're using it like that, it's not mounted, it sounds like. You
no,
know,
it is, it's from the wall, like from the apartment, like,
you're saying it's loose, it's hanging out,
yeah, the cover on it kind of thing.
just the cover or the outlet itself?
The cover, I can see the four little pieces, the whole cover part is off of it. Does that make sense?
A cover, is there to protect it because it has the wires on the inside. You don't want anybody touching those. You will get a shock, right? You don't want anything shorting it out. Um, it should be in place. The cover should be in place.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. No,
definitely.
I'm waiting for them to do that. I just don't know if it's bad to use it in the interim.
If it's loose, if the outlet itself is loose, I wouldn't use it because every time you move it around, it could be compromising the wires that are connected to it. If the outlet is mounted and it's safe, to put something in, you need it. I'm not recommending it, but I know people are gonna do it anyway.
Mhm.
It should have that cover on. Its cover's gonna keep it stable. The cover's gonna protect you.
Okay. You said that modern fire alarms these days are made of with lithium batteries.
Yes, this has a 10-year lithium battery.
Okay. Um, is there like what if you can't find that easily? Is there an alternative that's comparable, or we should find
That
the
that is the law now. They're all 10-year alarms.
oh,
That
okay.
is the law. So, but you may go to a store and buy a new alarm, or you think it's new, but it was sitting on the shelf for the last 10 years, right?
Hmm.
So nobody should be buying alarms that need a battery put into it. Okay, that is the law, but it doesn't mean it doesn't happen. You may have, a hardware store that has 20 of the old alarms in a basement for the last 20 years. And, even though it's the law that he can't sell it, he may want to sell it to get some money, right? So
Right.
just be wary of what you buy.
Okay. I think I got everything out. I don't
Good.
see any
Okay.
other questions.
No. Okay. Sorry for the delay. I don't know what happened there, but
Oh,
I'm glad it
don't be
worked out.
sorry. I'm sure it was
And
my fault.
no, it worked out. That's the bottom line. So appreciate
It's
it. And
been scary and amazing.
yeah, yeah,
Thank you. I think we need to have these more often because was a lot of information.
yeah. Let us know whenever you're ready.
Okay.
So, all
I
right.
thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you, all you listeners out there. Thank you for listening. Stay safe. Enjoy the holidays.
Thank you. Same to you.
Okay. Take care.
Yeah, everyone.
Bye.